Significant day in American history.
Woo!
Oh, sure. Okay. So, I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, what is Juneteenth and why do we celebrate it? While some of you may know. And there's no shame in not knowing, because America is built on a long-standing history of systemic racism, and they don't want you to know about days like Juneteenth.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
To put it quite simply, Juneteenth is the Black 4th of July. While white Americans got their freedom on 4th of July 1776 from Britain, Black Americans were still enslaved until June 19th, 1865. 89 years later. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right.
And now I use the word freedom very loosely because, well, I'd hardly use it at all, actually. While slavery was ended on that day, there were a myriad of legal loopholes that upheld white supremacy and oppressed the Black community.
Yeah,
and while
right.
you may know some of those, like voter suppression, housing segregation,
Yeah.
and public lynchings, one you may not be familiar with is slave patrols that eventually evolved into the U.S. police force.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's go, T!
Let's go.
Yep, tell
Now,
it.
slave patrols were implemented solely to police runaway slaves, so that was their form of law enforcement. But post-Civil War, when there were no slaves, there was no need for slave patrols, so they revamped their system and renamed it, and that is how we have the U.S. police system we have
Right.
today.
Yep.
Right.
Tell him, Karen. Tell him.
Don't believe me? Here's a quote from lawenforcementmuseum.org. There are distinct parallels between the legal slave patrols before the war and extra-legal terrorization tactics used by vigilante groups, most notoriously the Ku Klux Klan. After the Civil War, Southern police departments often carried over aspects of slave patrols into their current practices. Do the research, people. The slave patrol badge and the police badge are eerily similar in design, and it's not a coincidence.
Yeah.
That is why I'm always hurt but never shocked when I see the senseless slaughter of Black lives like George Floyd and like Breonna
Yeah!
Taylor and
Right.
so many
Yes!
other Black
Yes!
lives that I don't even have the time to name.
Yes, Karen. Come on.
But it's not all doom and gloom, because 2020 is the first year that Juneteenth is being institutionalized as a national holiday.
Yeah.
People of all colors, all backgrounds, all sexual
Yeah.
orientations are celebrating the Black community and fighting for their continued freedom. And that means that you and I and everybody here is a part of history. We are on the right side of history. So
Yes.
thank you so much
Yes.
for being here.
Yes.
Thank you
Yes.
so much for being allies. God bless everyone, and I love you guys. Thanks.
Yeah.
What a beautiful. Thank you so much. This is powerful. Okay, are there any young people here?